That's
Is
great.
that too bold to make
It's not
so
too bold.
early?
No, it's not
Is that
too
too
bold,
bold?
Bay. No, dude.
Let's do it.
Let's go
Let's
bold
do
or
it.
go home. Go bold or
Yeah.
go home.
Maggie's never seen it and Amanda's obsessed. They don't wear fancy suits, they are casually dressed. They are sisters-in-law and they got a show about a law firm drama that aired a few years ago. Only Suits fans, 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 only Suits fans.
Only Suits fans.
Hello and welcome to Only Suits Fans. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Amanda.
And we're
And
sisters.
we're sisters in law.
We're interrupting our recaps of the original Suits to cover this incredible gift that is Suits LA.
And today we are recapping season 1, episode 2, Old Man Hanrahan, which we just watched because it just ended.
It literally just finished. We watched this instead of the Oscars.
Yes, because we were committed, if anything.
If anything, we are committed. And so are you if you are watching us over the Oscars. Thank you.
Honestly,
at this Brian or the Austins.
Right. And honestly, at this point in the Oscars, people have kind of tuned out and they probably are going to be like, I'll wait to find out who gets Best Picture tomorrow.
I'll read the think piece, but I've got to know what Amanda and Maggie think about Suits LA.
Yeah. And if you are tuning in for the first time and have not been following our other podcast, which is Only Suits Fans, for the OG Suits, we recap this show because we're obsessed and we are doing this like so fast for you because 30 minutes isn't a lot of time to get an outline put together and briefs and all that kind of good stuff. So,
but we have to talk about it. Yeah, let's get in.
Do you want to just get into it?
Yeah, I would love to start with a brief that I've written to recap this episode.
Okay.
Who needs a Marvel action movie when there is so much action happening at the law firms in Los Angeles? Erica and Rick do one kind of effing, the fight kind, to win Dylan's business as an up-and-coming indie/Marvel darling, and Rick's caring heart is what ultimately gives him the edge. But we also learn Erica and Rick have done more than just one kind of effing, if you know what I mean. Meanwhile, we see Ted's history in New York pulling some funny business with a comedian impersonator to trick mafia members into confessing to murder, which does not sit well with his former girlfriend turned Stuart's law partner, Samantha. And Lester's got some splaining to do as Kevin comes with the receipts to make Ted start to doubt his instincts. Is Lester just a typical LA liar, or is he actually a murderer? Dun, dun, dun.
Dude, this storyline is crazy.
There's so much. When you put it down, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Do you want to kick it off and do everything before the credits?
Yes. Wait, first, can we talk about how before and after the credits, it is, in fact, Greenback Boogie?
We can talk about it now because I have it in my notes. You know what I said? Because we are not watching this together. Obviously, you can tell we are in different locations this week. We would normally be sitting side by side watching this. I literally had a pen in my hand, no paper to write anything down, but I was holding a pen and I said, thank God, and like threw my pen down. I was so... I don't know how you feel. I'm so glad that they're using that because last week all we had was a Suits LA and like we had the noise, but it's like what they would use in between scenes, but we never had
what?
That's what we had last week. This week
I was like, how did I not notice?
We didn't have anything because here's the thing. I had to go back and rewatch it on Peacock because it was so much and I needed to try to absorb the characters. I did fall asleep during the rewatch of it the other night, but at least I got some of it. But I was I made note of the fact, oh, we don't actually have a theme song. And I am thrilled that they did that. I wonder if they did it after this week, just like picking up on a vibe from maybe us.
Yeah, they were like, we need to get this. We need to get this credit song to be right. And
Are
we know
you,
it works.
are you happy that it's Greenback Boogie?
I am. I
Okay.
can't imagine a Suits without it.
Well, some
It's
people
kind of like
might-
Law and Order. All the Law and Orders have the same song. They just like one has an electric guitar and one, so it's good they have the same theme song.
I think that's
It's a
what they were
franchise.
going for. I think that's what they were
Mhm.
going for, is to use the same one, because, and we'll get into this a little bit more about like comparing, one to the other.
Right.
But look, you can't have Suits LA without Suits. And so
we've got to sometimes compare.
we have to have Greenback Boogie. Anyways, I'm glad
Mhm.
we got to hear our favorite song for sure.
Yes, me too.
Okay.
Before we hear our favorite song.
Before we hear our favorite song, though, let's do everything that's before the credits.
Yes.
Or before Greenback Boogie.
Yes. So we open, it's Ted and Erica, and they're exchanging a really fun your mom joke, except for Ted's like, well, my mom's dead. And Erica doesn't miss a beat. She's just like, well, thanks for sucking the air out of the room. Like, you really ruined that joke. And then he briefs her on Dylan Pryor, who is this indie darling who's got this Marvel deal, and she has to take over this Dylan Pryor client, and she has to do whatever it takes to get the Marvel deal done.
Right.
And Erica's like, of course, I'll do whatever it takes.
I didn't actually think this your mom joke was all that great, not because it was your mom joke and those are kind of old. I can't quite get their chemistry, or at least it felt a little bit better to me, like their working chemistry towards the end of this episode. But at the beginning, I was like, this is a weird this is a weird way to start. Honestly, I thought
she has a lot of confidence. I think it's kind of like the Harvey Mike relationship, not to compare, but we got to compare, in that she's like very cocky maybe, and like kind of busts his balls a little bit, but there hasn't been that much build up to it. So I agree, like towards the end, you start to feel it a little bit better, and like it makes more sense.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. It's just at the beginning, I was like, what a weird way to open.
It is a weird way to open.
Next up, we see Amanda, the attorney, not me. And she comes off the elevator onto Ted's floor because her floor, which is Stuart's old floor, is empty and she's very lonely. And he asked her about Hanrahan at the DA's office. And Amanda doesn't believe that Lester is innocent. So she's kind of interjecting herself into this case about Lester, but you could tell she's a little bit standoffish. Also, I will note that she's not dressed to kind of make people not see her coming. Like that unassuming dress, that is not her in this episode. She's dressed very much like somebody who works at Black Lane or PSL or whatever. I mean, she is.
Yeah, she's
looking
fancy.
sharp. She's looking sharp. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then we see Leah. She's trying to fix the copier, which I have a hard relate to. I feel like everyone who's ever worked in an office feels this.
Yes.
And Erica's like, hey, what do you know about Dylan Pryor? And Leah's like, everything. I know literally everything about Dylan Pryor because I love TV and I love movies. And Erica says, okay, well, why don't you come to my meeting with her and don't eat those good and plenties.
Yeah.
And then Leah downs all of the good and plenties.
So in very early on, first deposition here.
Okay.
Leah eats these good and plenties and she kind of regrets it because they're not so good and there's not that plenty. Okay. What would be the candy if it was stuck inside of a copy machine, which you're going to hate to fix, that you'd be like, I'll eat them. I don't care how old they are.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Skittles.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think Skittles, because I think they have the hard shell. And so I think they would, no matter how they got stuck, if they're in the box, like they're stuck, but I think it would still taste good.
Yeah. Okay.
With enough sucking on it.
Yeah. Well, anything can taste good with enough sucking on it, I guess.
Yeah.
I, for you, was going to guess Swedish Fish because you love Swedish Fish.
I do love Swedish Fish.
Then I thought about what would happen if actually Swedish Fish were stuck inside of a copy machine and they would be smushed fish.
They would be melted.
They would be melted. I think I would do sweet tarts because I don't know if I've ever had a bad sweet tart. Like, I don't even know if they go stale. Like
I don't think they do. I think they
found a
are
roll.
stale.
I found a roll of sweet tarts like half eaten in my purse that I hadn't carried for
Yeah.
like a season. No
Mhm.
problem. No problem. No
No,
problem.
sweet
It's
tarts
like,
are like made stale, so no matter when you find them or where you find them,
yeah,
they're
it's
delicious.
only if you eat the chewy sweet tarts, which are the 4 big ones. Those
Yeah.
actually, when they go stale, turn hard. Who'd
So
have
they
known?
just turn into regular sweet
They
tarts.
just turn a regular big old sweet tart. So if you're looking for a big old sweet tart, that's how you age it. Okay, back to the story.
Back to the
Uh,
story. Important deposition
It was
before
an
the
important
credits.
one. Yeah. Lester is getting deposed by Ted and Kevin. So it's like a dress rehearsal,
Practice.
essentially.
Mhm.
And Simon and Lester took 3 pills before this whole shootout happened. All right. Before they started shooting. And then Lester said that Simon started getting darker and darker and like, I don't deserve to be here, all this kind of stuff. And then he shot himself. And then Lester gets arrested. He's like, my best friend of 20 years is dead. And then they arrested me. And so they got what they needed. And this meeting like abruptly ends.
Yeah. Ted's just like, okay, great, we're done.
Yeah. And then Kevin to Ted says later that something is not right about the story. And he thinks he's a liar, meaning Lester. And Ted says that's just Los Angeles, right? People lie. And he's like, Lester's a lot of things. He is not a murderer. Like he believes he could have done something wrong, but he did not murder him. So Kevin's on the case, and Ted needs to wrap his mind around the fact that Lester may have done this. And I just am curious what you're thinking here, because you predicted last week that
Lester did.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I was feeling pretty good about my prediction.
at the top of the show.
I was like, good, because Lester seems a little shady. And as he was doing this deposition, I was like, either they've already phoned it in, and if this is the truth, this is so bad, or he's a good actor acting like a bad actor, talking about lying about what happened with his friend. And I think it is the second option there.
Okay.
I think he's lying about what happened, but my predictions are like the ocean. They change.
They're fluid.
They're fluid.
Like
They're
the
liquid.
ocean. They're liquid. Your predictions are in fact liquid.
Mhm.
And then we do hear our favorite song.
Oh, thank God it's back.
I literally, I can't begin to tell you how happy I am. Like that show looked like a franchise today. Like at the very beginning,
It's coming into its own now.
It's coming into its own as a franchise of Suits OG.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of thoughts at the end about how I feel about this show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we have pretty much 3 storylines that split off after the credits.
Mhm.
Do you want to just take Dylan and the Marvel movie first?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Dylan calls Rick to see what's going on with Erica. Okay. And she doesn't like that he's not handling the case, and she doesn't want the indie movie to get in the way of her Marvel deal. So she kind of like finds out now that they're not actually working at the same law firm anymore. So yeah.
And she really hit it off with Rick. She feels like he was a cool attorney, right?
Yeah.
So then we see Samantha, and she confronts Stuart about bringing Rick over for head of entertainment to their firm, like poaching him or stealing him from Ted. And she's like, I'm not going to sign off on him being the head of entertainment. That wasn't the deal. You were supposed to keep someone there on the inside, not just like bring someone over immediately.
Right.
So she goes, you need to tell Rick that he's not going to be head of entertainment, that he's left Ted, but he's not getting that title here.
Which sucks because he had the title over there.
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
But he didn't want to share it.
Yeah. But
I think he didn't want to share it. He said he didn't like what Ted was doing, but I feel like if you leave Ted to go to Stuart, you don't really care about like the ethics of above board,
Yeah, that's fair. Then Erica and Leah meet with the indie producers to talk about Dylan. So it's the producer who is obviously the cash man, right? He's paying for everything. And then one of the writers who's also a friend of Dylan. Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to talk about the way these are confusing. They figured out a workaround. But then Leah, who is like fangirling over Dylan's friend, who is also a producer and writer, said they started this thing. They were like, "Oh, it's a fire," and they had this like quick little sync of like they have a lot in common, and they seem to click, which I think is interesting because she's trying like Leah's trying to play it cool because she's like in that scene of like the actual Hollywood, even though she does work in it in the like from the law side of it, but she's still very much a fangirl. Like she can't quite play it cool, which is cute and endearing, I think, with her character. It probably it's like how not that we should compare, but when Lewis met what's his face from the ballet and he like freaked out in that episode. Remember when the ballet theater was. Do you remember this episode?
No.
He runs into Rachel at the ballet. They're both
yes, yeah.
And they end up representing the ballet company, but then the ballet company, they're liars, pants on fires.
That's right. Yeah. I do remember that episode.
Passe right on out of there. Yeah.
It's fun to see these lawyers be fans of things.
Because they can be fans. Everybody should be a fan of something.
Yeah, even if it's only Suits.
Fair. It's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sweet. Think. So then we see Stuart.
Yeah.
Stuart tells Rick, like, he's like, hey, you're out. You can't be head of entertainment. But if you bring in a big client, then yeah, sure, you can. But that means Rick would have to poach. And he's like, I will not poach someone because that's not who I am. Stuart's like, Ted would totally poach. Rick's like, that's fine. I'm not Ted. And he's like, but I want to be head of entertainment. So he's going to figure something out. I just noticed that in this episode, Stuart's beard looks a little less tame.
Oh, okay. Do you think
I thought it looked
he's lax on his beard maintenance? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, people with beards.
Yes.
Like real beefy beards, like a Stewart beard, not like a 5 or 7 o'clock shadow. They carry beard combs, and
you would need to.
I don't know that Stewart has his beard comb on him, but like maybe people who have them, they're like, you know, like they're always
right,
like,
get your beard wax on there, right? You're like,
because they're always doing this, but then they'll pull a little comb, and it looks like a little comb that my grandfather dad used to use for his little wispies, but instead it's for their beard
big
wispies.
They're big beard spies.
Their beard spies. So maybe Stuart just needs that. You'd think as a little leprechaun that he is.
Yeah, with his vests and his suits are so whimsical feeling that I think he would have a pocket for that beard brush.
Yeah, absolutely.
But maybe not.
Erica is on the phone. She seems frustrated. I imagine I would just be generally frustrated if I never watched TV and film. So maybe that's just like her general demeanor, right?
Yeah, she needs to start watching more TV and film for sure.
Yeah. She asks what Leah did. She like calls for Leah. Leah comes in. She's like, I did what you said. I was thorough. And Leah said, and Erica's like, but you gave them too much information. So it's actually screwed the deal for Dylan. Erica says, and then Rick comes in and he tells Erica that Dylan wanted him to handle her case. And he asked her for a simple waiver to represent Dylan. And she agrees to sign the waiver so they can have some friendly competition to see who is better. So it's like, it's not actually, I don't think, a waiver to represent her. It's a waiver to poach. It's like, it's a waiver for me for a friendly competition. So it's like, I'm going to do this. You're giving me permission to go and try and earn her business, but you know that I'm doing this. It's like, we both know we're battling this out. It's like, as opposed to single party consent, where it's like in the state where only one person knows about the recording, they both know about the recording.
Right. And I know that we're recording.
I also know that we're recording. And I think the big giveaway is that it says you're in the show, and it also says that we're live. So I think, and then I can also, and then just having a microphone and headphones.
Yeah, you kind of like can tell.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know.
I think this is great for them to have this friendly competition.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this is great because they've been talking, all the last episode was all about like who's better. So I was really excited to see who was better.
I gotta say that because this happened fast and we're still learning the characters, the back and forth on this storyline, just of trying to keep up with who was winning. This was like, what's the hardest sport to keep up with who's winning? That's a depo for you. Like, what's the hardest for you when you're watching a sport? What is the hardest one where you're like, I don't even know who's winning right now?
Yeah, probably like boxing.
Oh, that's good.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like other sports have
Until
like
they're like
until
ref.
they hang up the hand, you have no idea.
I almost
You're
said
like, oh,
I almost said umpire.
umpire run. You don't boxing. You have no idea.
Yeah.
But like in other sports, there's a goal or like the audience is cheering, so you're like, know who's winning. But in boxing, it's like, I don't know, everyone's getting hurt.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. I'm gonna yes and that. Say yes. Because I didn't know. I was like, I don't know which one is hard. Like, I don't know.
But this felt like boxing.
It felt like boxing for sure.
Yeah. The whole show. So Rick then immediately goes and meets with this indie producer who I think his name is Fred. And he tells him he needs to release Dylan after 4 months or he is going to sue them, and he is going to sue them hard. And he accuses this producer of bad faith. And then the producer's like, actually, no, I'm not, because she doesn't just have 5 lines or 5 pages. She now has 40 because there was a rewrite to the script and here's a copy of it. So there's no way she could get all of this done in 4 months. They really do need her for the full 6. And yeah.
You are a film writer. So is that a big difference? 5 scenes versus 40?
Yes.
I mean, I can do the math. Yes, I know it's 35 more, but I'm just saying, like, would you be screwed? Would you be screwed if you had like upped somebody's scene count to 40 and you only had them for 4 months?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless all of those scenes are like in the same location.
Right.
But I would imagine that there's a lot going on.
Feels like it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot to cram in.
Yeah.
40 scenes.
Oy.
But it's, indie filmmaking.
Erica is staring out into space, thinking something through, and Leah interrupts her to see if she read the script. She's like, "Did you read it?" And Leah thinks that she has an idea that will help, right? Because she's read the script. And so then Erica tells Leah, sorry, I'm still trying to learn their names. Erica tells Leah, hey, I need you to set a dinner with Fred for me to pretend to have an offer from Warner Brothers. And Leah's like, but you don't. She's like, it doesn't matter. You have to do whatever you need to do to get the meeting. And I'm like, that's some shady ass business right there. Like,
that's very Suits.
It is very OG Suits. Yeah.
So then we see this dinner. Erica comes in, she's on the phone and she goes, great. So I'm glad it's all going through. She hangs up and then she's like, Dylan's out of your movie. And he goes, what? No, she's like, can't do that. We have a contract. She goes, you have a contract that says she can't film another movie, but she is going to be doing promotions for Warner Brothers during the entire time that she is on your movie, except for maybe Thanksgiving. And we can maybe work that out. So he's just like, you have screwed me, basically. And Warner Brothers will litigate him into the ground, which is what she was on the phone with, if he tries to fight this.
Which they will. Like, even though that would probably never even happen. Of course, Warner Brothers has deeper pockets.
Yes.
There's 2 of them. There's brother. I mean, actually, there's multiple Warners, right?
Yeah. There could be infinite brothers with the last name Warner
that are all just kind of in the biz.
And they all have to, every year, they have to put their money in for the litigation pot.
For the potential litigation pot?
Yeah, they have to all fund it.
It's the name of my autobiography, Potential Litigation Pot. Okay. Then Rick tells Erica that he won and he got a deal for Dylan to do both. Is that right? Did I skip something?
So first Dylan tells Rick, like, I'm going to be staying with Erica. So Dylan goes and visits him and he's like, but I really like the brief time that we worked together. It seems kind of flirty. Yeah. And then he's like, gosh, it's like a romantic comedy with a tragic ending. And then he goes, but hey, did you ever read the rewrite to that indie film? And I guess she hasn't read the rewrite. I guess she hasn't even read it.
Which is crazy that she wouldn't read it.
Yes.
Totally for a rewrite to go from 4 to 5 or 5 scenes to 40, like there's got to be a change. Like your character has a completely different role now.
Right. And so she hasn't even read that she's now in 40 scenes. That's crazy. That's not very believable.
Now, there was a couple of things in here that were not very believable, but they still did it anyways. So
I feel like an actor's going to be like, how many scenes am I in? And then it's like, now you're in 40. Let me read them off.
right.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. So then Rick tells Erica that he won and he got this deal for Dylan to do both. And we learned that they used to do something. Okay. So by that, it's like it was so weird where it's like,
So weird.
we stopped doing that thing we used to do. And it's kind of like, I feel like when parents are trying to talk to each other and their kids are right there and they're like sending a message like across the way, like that's what it looked like. It's like like what we used to do.
Remember
But-
what we used to do?
But they never said what they used to do, though they have of course alluded to maybe what they used to do. But what was interesting is that, like, well, I'll ask you, what do you think they're talking about?
I mean, obviously you think they've been
Sex.
You think
Okay.
they've been sexing,
Sexing.
right?
Okay.
But now that we're talking about it, I'm like, what, they got a can opener or something?
I don't know. But I'm like, did they also have like a food truck together? Or did they have like, is it something
Right.
so stupid? Because in the first episode, Rick had that thing where he was like, that fantasy of you on top of me is never going to happen. And she's like, we'll see about that. And I'm like, okay, so did they never do it? Or was she just always on the bottom?
Right. She was just never on top.
She was just never on top. And so that was like, that was a fantasy.
They were intimate enough to discuss their fantasies, and her fantasy was always to get on top. But then before that happened, they called off the thing that they were doing. I think we solved it.
I think we did too.
I think that's it.
Available for hire if you need another writer, you know?
Yeah, they just always did missionary, and now
And now we're revealing how kinky they really want to be.
so kinky.
Okay.
Yeah. But he also says that the reason why they didn't work out was because he just cares for his clients. And she goes, that's not why we didn't work out or whatever. Why we don't do that
Why we
thing that
stopped
still
doing
do.
what we stopped doing what we were doing, which is just like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm really already liking this show a lot, but this little part right here.
We're doing what we were doing. We're not doing what we were doing.
Do you wonder if the actors read this rewrite, like, or if they got it got slipped in just right there?
Yeah, it was art imitating life imitating art, history repeating itself.
Yes. Okay.
So then here we are. Rick tells Stuart he was right. He's like, you were right. I needed to sign someone. So here she is. Here's Dylan.
And Stuart says, I'm right about everything. Can you be more specific?
Okay. But in this scene, I'm like, wait, Stuart doesn't seem like a bad guy.
No, not in this scene. Also, we don't see a lot of Stuart in this episode.
Not a lot. About the same amount as we probably saw in episode 1.
Yeah.
But like seeing Stuart and Samantha and Rick, and then seeing Ted and Erica and Leah and maybe Amanda. But I'm like, these don't feel like one guy's the good guy and one guy's the bad guy.
No, I would agree with that.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this.
It's not like a Hardman, like where you've got Jessica Pearson and Daniel Hartman, where it's like, it's pretty clear.
Right. There's no Jessica Pearson, maybe. That's our North Star for what is good.
Wow. She was shady too.
What?
She was a little shady.
Oh, yeah, she was shady, but we all just agreed with everything she did because she's so wonderful.
And she didn't have a secretary. So it's like, how's she even doing all this stuff?
Yeah, right. She's just doing so much.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So
yeah, so he's like, I didn't even have to poach. Like, I did not have to poach to get her. I did it my way. I got this waiver. And Stuart's like, yeah, I'm glad that you fought it out with Erica because I always knew you two would be doing one of two F's. And he was like, what? And he goes, fight or philander, which philander technically starts with PH, but it's the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like Rick's getting a promotion and looks like Stuart was almost on to them because they did fight, but they also did that thing that they also did that might have been philandering, but
we
maybe
don't know.
not.
But it could be literally
could have been a food truck, which is the other F.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Rick was like, "What's the other F? Was it
because
food
he was like,
truck?
food truck. We had a
Because
food
we
truck
did own
together.
a food truck."
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the flashback of if there was a
The thing they
flashback
did.
and if it's a food truck, what kind of food do you think it is? Like, what kind of food truck do you think they get in the
It's
flashback?
fajitas. It's fajitas, which could
Fajitas.
have also been the F that Stuart was thinking.
I'm gonna say it's pho, but they're gonna spell it F
F.
like
Pho.
FUH, like pho, and instead of PH.
Pho.
Okay.
That's how I feel like when I need pho. I always feel like pho.
Yeah, no,
Pho.
I gotta go get it. I have to be delivered. It's gonna come in different containers. There's gonna have like the broth in one container, all the
Mhm.
top, but also
But you
nev-
need it.
never gonna say no to pho. You
No,
know what I'm saying?
never.
You know?
Pho, yeah.
Yeah, pho, yeah. Okay. Erica is alone on the 25th floor drinking. And at first I thought she was drinking hot tea, which was very a la Jessica Pearson. But it looks like she's drinking an old whiskey, you know?
Some sort of dark alcohol.
I know. Ted comes up there to see what happened with Dylan. And it sounds like she's going to maybe get in trouble because they've lost Dylan. But he tells her, and he's pissed, but then he asks if she's seen the photo of him and Denzel at the Lakers game. And he's like, I was born a Knicks fan, but Kobe Bryant changed that for me. And he was like, I would rather you get baited into a fight than back down from one. And then she was like, am I Black Mamba 2.0? And he was like, hold on, don't say that. Yeah. And then they both learned that they're never going to underestimate Rick again. Okay. And Erica needs to keep Leah away from Ted because he's like, she's just so, and then Erica's like, well, she's kind of nice when you get to know her.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because this is like, we're summarizing this storyline, but we've already seen them kind of like reconcile, so, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
what do you think Leah is? A lot?
A lot.
Why aren't they saying things? Why are they the thing that they used to do? And Leah
just
is
yeah, I don't know.
She is.
I don't know. Maybe just not a total raging crazy attorney. Maybe she's just like down to earth with a cool sense of humor.
Maybe. I agree.
I don't know.
So then we see Leah, who is very whatever. And she is working late in the conference room.
Mm-hmm.
And Erica is like, hey, when you read that script and you said it was great, like, how did you know that it was great? And Leah's like, oh, because I watch a lot of TV and I watch a lot of films and I actually like used to want to be a film writer. And Erica's like, well, listen, if I would have listened to you and tried to think of a way that we could have made it work with both, then Dylan would still be our client. And this makes Leah feel so nice because Erica's giving her all this positive attention. She goes, I feel a strong urge to hug you. And she kind of like hops over and then gives her a big hug. And Erica's like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Like,
she's cold.
She's so cold. And Leah's so warm in her little cozy cardigan.
When Erica said, how did you know that was good or not? For a split second, this is what went through my head. Erica doesn't know how to read. I don't know why.
Leah, how did you know what that script said? Because I read it.
Because there's a storyline. I'm about to digress here for a second. There is a news storyline out there that I'm sure will end up on Weekend Update if it didn't already. And I haven't watched Saturday Night Live, so forgive me if this has already been made fun of. There is somebody who graduated from high school with honors and like got into college, but they never learned how to read or write. So now they're suing their school for negligence.
They never learned.
Yes, they're suing their school for negligence, even though they graduated with honors and got into school, which is to me, like, we could do a whole podcast unpacking that news story. So maybe that's like fresh on my mind. But when she was like, how did you know? And I'm like, oh, she can't read. But I'm like, I'm just such a fucking bizarre.
She passed the California bar, but she can't read.
But there's somebody out there who graduated from high school with honor. I mean, it's different, but
true.
not like
Really,
to get that
Mike
far.
Rossing. That would
It's
be the Mike
really
Ross secret, is that Erica
Erica
can't
can't
read.
read.
Mhm.
Oh, man.
And then instead of Erica teaching Leah how to be a good attorney and Leah teaching Erica how to recognize a good script, it would just be all these tutoring
Tutorial
sessions
sessions with
where
Leah
she's
teaching.
like, a,
Pho, pho, pho,
pho.
pho.
No, actually, you spell pho, Pho. I know, it's crazy.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I just where my head went for 1 second. I had to get it out and say it.
Would be, you know what? There's still time for that to be a reveal.
It is. We still have 8 more. Is it 8 more episodes? Are there 10 or are there 13?
I don't know.
It's a lot.
I'm just
There's
gonna
a lot.
ride this for as long as they let me ride this, you
Just
know?
keep on, that's what she said. All right.
Mhm.
We'll keep going.
So then we see Samantha. She's staring off into space. All these women, like, they just like to stare off into space. I guess they don't go to the window like Harvey did.
Mhm.
And Stuart comes in to check and see if Rick Dodson can get the title because he brought in Dylan. He brought in this big client.
Mhm.
And she's like, do you want to give him the news? Because how about you do it? Because you're actually over entertainment. And I also really appreciate that you took my side over Ted's in this whole idea to separate the firm,
Right.
especially given your history with Ted. So she pours him a drink and she's like, oh, you're gonna like give him a compliment. You're gonna give Rick a compliment. And he goes, no, I don't like to glaze people.
Mhm.
And then they talk about what glazing is. And I wasn't sure if that's like a Stuart term or if that's a Gen Z term. And I'm just really out of.
Yeah, I'd never
loop.
heard of it. I mean, I was into it, but just because of like glazing to me, like I love icing on a donut or
Yeah.
like the little icing containers that come in the cinnamon roll cans. I could just eat
Mm.
that.
Mhm.
So I wasn't opposed to hearing more about glazing, but you're right. I don't know if this is actually a term or not. And we haven't had enough time to look it up. So we're going to find out.
Yeah, I'm sure someone will know. But I'm going to start using glazing as a good thing.
What
I
if
think
we
you
start
can't-
using it and we what if we both just start using it and turn it in, and put it in our own little echo chamber and zeitgeist of words and it's actually awful and
Yeah, it's like some sort of weird thing.
but we're gonna roll with it.
Yeah. And then people are like, oh my God, I can't believe they keep talking about glazing.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. Someone will correct us or never.
Or never. We'll just let us look stupid, and that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay, next storyline. We have Lester the murderer.
Yeah, maybe, potentially.
Maybe. We don't know.
Probably. Maybe, I don't know. Certainly looks like it. So Ted goes to meet with old man Hanrahan, and he is not there because the DA's office has pulled him off the case and replaced him with this lady, Elizabeth,
Mhm.
who is going to be taking over because she's the person they call in to like win. And she calls out Ted for being a black shirt, no tie talent agent,
Mhm.
not a real attorney. He should not be taking this case because it is a slam dunk. And then she shows him all of the evidence and gives him this plea deal that she has very kindly prepared. She's offering a plea to Lester.
Yeah. And Ted's like, nah, I'm not going to take it.
Nah, but I'll present it because I have to.
We're going to get into all of this here. I just, okay. We have Elizabeth.
Yes.
We have Samantha.
Yes.
We have Dylan.
Yes.
All three of these outstanding actors look so similar to me that I was panicked and trying to figure it out. But like, because we're watching this and we don't have a lot of time, like, it's not like when you're rewatching an old show and you can go back and figure it out. You can go look on IMDb and be like, did I get the names right? I literally, particularly with Elizabeth and Samantha, I was like, wait a minute. And then we get into flashbacks and we have a flashback that has Samantha in it. Not to spoil, but if you watch it, like there's a flashback. And it was like, this is so confusing. And I just want to say,
not to spoil, we're about to talk about it.
Not to spoil, we are going to talk about. There's no way a casting director looked at all of those people and thought, yep, they all look a little different.
Same like face shape, same length of brown hair. There's not like someone has a bob, someone has highlights. It's literally like the casting director said, I really like this look. And I would like this look to be for Samantha. I would like it to be for Elizabeth. I would like it for Dylan. I want all of them to look the same.
I mean, I felt like I was looking at 3 of me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's what I thought too. I was like, wait, Amanda, what's she doing on my screen?
I know, bizarre. No,
But you have your glasses.
which is a differentiator.
Yeah,
For real though, it was very confusing.
it is very confusing.
Like, we'll go ahead and tell you guys now. Right before, because we had very little time, I said, Maggie, I need to make sure I understand that these were 3 different people. And we had to confirm their names because it was so confusing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was very confusing.
Yeah. So we don't have to see a redhead like Donna. But it would just be nice to like have a little bit of variety. So like if they haven't
Variety
finished
of
filming,
length.
like I don't even know if the rest of the season is locked. So if it's not locked, like, and if you guys are listening, like Aaron and writers and everybody else and the showrunner, like, can we have a little variety? Can somebody have maybe they have bifocals, maybe they need some readers, something.
Maybe they have a pixie cut.
Maybe they have a pixie cut. Somebody just, like maybe their niece accidentally cuts their hair and so they have to go and get it all chopped up. I mean, like, there's so many options here. There's so many options here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So then we see Kevin and he presents Ted. So Kevin is the friend from New York who used to help prosecute bad guys. And he presents Ted with all these bank records from Lester because it turns out Lester was stealing from his partner, Simon, who later ended up murdered or killed or dead on his property by gunshot.
For sure dead.
For sure dead. Yes. And Kevin says, like, listen, this is evidence and I'm just trying to keep you from getting blindsided. But Ted just wants to be convinced that he is innocent. And while they're having this talk about Lester in the lobby of the building very loudly, Amanda, the attorney, sees this happen. Because this is something I say all the time. They have too many conversations
in that lobby.
In lobbies, outside, like where anyone can overhear them yelling in an office. It's like, shouldn't there be like some discretion?
Yeah. And also like use that term that I think is so cool. Like, I think I've used it once, which is, can we have the room, please?
Yes. Clear that lobby.
Right?
Can we have the lobby, please?
Can we have the lobby, please? Or go pull them off to the side. But like, if you're in a place where you'd be like, can we have the room, please? I think that's so cool to say, even though like, I don't really have, like, I'll just be like, okay, we'll go out of here and talk.
Right. No, they should say that. They should say that.
Can we have this side of the street, please?
Can I have this bagel stand, please?
Yeah.
Can I have this? Yeah.
Okay. Next up, Ted tells Amanda, the lawyer, that that it's not Old Man Hanahan, okay, which is a hard name to say.
Hanahan.
Old Man Hanahan. It's making me think of Mrs. Hannigan from Annie.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah. So Ted tells Amanda that it's not Hanahan and that this girl will do whatever it takes to win, right? Mm-hmm. Ted needs to show the town that he can win right now, even when the cards are stacked against him, because every single like entertainment client is going to need something a little bit more than entertainment representation at some point. And if he can't help Lester, then slowly all of his other clients are eventually going to leave because they'll be like, he can only help me with this. And he can't help me
if I murder someone.
Right. And so every instinct he has says that Lester is not a murderer. And the only other time he hasn't been able to trust his instincts, he lost everything. So I think this is not even about the case itself and like losing clients. It's about like Ted feeling like inferior for his job and like, maybe I can't do this. And maybe like I'm losing my instincts, which that is a more valid argument. I want to go back to his statement about all of his clients leaving because he can't help them. Like I call BS on that. Like a lot of people have multiple attorneys because you get people that is like the law is so broad, right? And so you need a specialty. Like I even have more than one attorney and I'm not anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like you have attorneys for the things. So like, I actually think if he is a really great, like, or he's the very best entertainment attorney, the way he is the best entertainment attorney is to help his clients who might need something different be like, I don't know this like the back of my hand, but so-and-so does. They should represent you. And if it's not somebody in his firm, then he can have like lots of companies also have for checks and balances, lawyers at different firms to help with different things. Like I'm sorry. I called
No
bullshit on
one's
that.
no one's
Nobody's
expecting him to
expecting.
like get them a Warner Brothers deal and then also get them out of prison.
Yes, that is
Like,
not.
I think he's putting unrealistic expectations on himself.
And so then he's doing that, and then he's doubting whether or not he can do his job.
Right.
You know?
Which is not fair to himself.
Yeah. Anyways.
He wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
To me or you or anyone.
Right.
Kevin then comes and apologizes to Ted for coming at him so hard in the lobby about Lester. And Ted says, listen, I just didn't want to hear what you had to say because I'm afraid you might be right. And if it comes down to it and you, Kevin, are convinced that Lester is guilty, you can jump ship. But I'm just going to cross that bridge when we get there, is what he says. And he says that actually a few times in the episode. Like, we'll just cross that bridge when we get there, which I think is interesting, not to keep comparing, but like Harvey always said, if they get you against the wall, like with a gun, pull a gun on them, turn it around on them. And I feel like instead of that aggression, Ted is just like, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. A more laissez-faire, laid back LA attitude.
Yeah, on some stuff though. I don't know that it's completely he believes this on everything. I think when it benefits him to not have to think about it, then he pulls that out. That's what I think.
Yeah. It's like that's a problem for future Ted.
Yeah. I think when he is not prepared to deal with it or doesn't know the answer, he's like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. But when he is prepared, he's like, oh, I'm coming.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's me too, probably. That's probably a lot of us.
That's fair. Okay, what's next?
So then they just need Lester to tell them the truth about the bank records. And Lester comes in and he's like, I'm not going to take this plea deal and get 10 years of prison.
Mm-hmm. Ted and Kevin are confronting him about the bank statements. And then he's like, okay. And I mean, the minute he started saying this, I'm like, oh, honestly, this would be one of the reasons that would drive me crazy to be a lawyer. Is when you ask your client, I need you to tell me everything. I cannot defend you. I cannot help you if you don't tell me everything. And they're like, I swear I've told you everything. And they're like, and one more thing. And then, and when he started, oh my gosh.
Sorry, he was stealing money from the studio. So then I was stealing it from him, but then I wasn't getting reimbursed for stuff from the studio. So I was kind of paying it back, but I was paying it back without telling them.
And I did it in a way that was so discreet that it actually helped the studio. Like, I was actually being a good guy in the very end, all in one breath too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is like, when I think about Marshall on Alias,
who is also Lester on Suits LA.
Yes. Marshall's character, okay, was so honest. Like, to a fault, to the point where it's like he would do this like word vomit thing, okay, where he would just like say too much, but he literally was honest to a fault. So I'm just having a hard time reconciling it right now.
Because Lester is a liar to his core.
A big time liar, paints on fire. It's also like there is that apparently I don't know if we said this, but the word on the town is there are like people lining up around the block that are willing to testify because they said that Lester's love language is lying. Like, there are people in Hollywood that are like reputable people that are going to say he is known for lying. I got to say,
it's not good.
That's an awful reputation. If there are people lining up around the block, they're like, you know what? Here's the one thing we have to say about this person. They are a liar.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Lester.
No,
also
it's not.
Very convenient. He's like, oh yeah, actually, Simon didn't just start freaking out and go into a dark place out of nowhere. He was actually freaking out because he thought the studio was going to catch him doing this thing that you just caught. So yeah, that's kind of what was going on.
Oh my God. Don't you know Ted's like,
how convenient.
Oh my God. It's awful. So Kevin says that Lester's records actually check out. And Kevin asks, like, what is he going to do? And Ted says that they'll jump off that bridge when they get there again, right? Mm-hmm. Kevin picks up a photo of Harvey. And he was like, who's this guy they used to play ball with? He was like, what was his name? Like, what did they call him? Harry or something first? And he was like, no, it's Harvey Specter. And he was like, I never liked that guy because he was the only one cockier than you. He's like, you got to watch out for those good looking ones. They're always so cocky. And Ted's like, wait a minute. Are you saying I'm not good looking? Or pretty? I think he called him a pretty one. And I'm going to get to this a little bit later on, but it was nice photoshopping because it did really look like Harvey was a part of that baseball team. It's the power of technology these days.
You don't
right?
think they just took that photo?
The only reason I don't know if they just took that photo is that okay. I'm kind of jumping ahead. Like, you know how sometimes when you're planning a vacation and you think about things ahead before you're there? That's kind of what I'm doing with Prediction Town right now. When Harvey went to the premiere, which was a Thursday and a half ago, okay? The show premiered and then we saw it on Sunday. Apparently he had not started rehearsing. Like, he hadn't started filming yet. So that's what I saw in an interview. Now, it could have been edited to make it sound like that. Like, they could have like cut it so that it made us think that. So that's why I'm not even sure if Harvey's going to be in the next episode, because what we just saw made us think Harvey's on his way and Harvey's going to be here in episode number 3, right?
Yeah.
But if that's true that he had not started, he didn't know. He's like, I don't even know all my lines yet. I haven't filmed. They've got to film and edit. But I would have thought they were already done filming.
You know, it's also interesting. So we know from like press drops that Harvey Specter will appear in 3 episodes.
Yes.
If this is one of the episodes, what if all 3 of them is just like a photo of Harvey in like the background of something?
Oh, dude.
It's like, it was like,
can you
Harvey
imagine?
Harvey Specter will appear in 3 episodes. I can only imagine the outrage.
We are not the only Suits fans account. I mean, we're the only Suits fan, the only Suits fans, but we're not the only account for Suits fans. And we follow those accounts. We interact with those accounts. People are going to lose.
They will lose their ever-loving mind.
Yes, they're going to go crazy if it is just 3 pictures of Harvey. And is it in different sport outfit? It's
just that same photo 3
different times.
And that's why Gabriel Mock's like, I haven't even done anything.
It's like 3. It's like a different, like Erica comes in one time and then Amanda comes. It's like they ask about the same thing. And oh my gosh, Maggie, people will literally, they will riot.
I know.
Like, they will literally riot.
So we better see him at least 4 times. 1 in a photo and 3 with speaking parts.
God, devil's in the
and
details.
In a suit.
Devil's in the details.
In a suit.
Or
with a tie.
I think we would take a Henley or a Ralph Lauren train.
Honestly.
Wouldn't we?
Or mud up to his nips.
Mud up to his nips.
Whatever we see him. But he needs to be Harvey talking, not Harvey photo.
No.
So then we see
Elizabeth,
who is this attorney who is prosecuting.
She's she's young lady Hanahan.
She's young lady Hanahan. And she visits Ted at his office and she's like, actually, that plea deal for 10 years is off the table because Lester's wife was sleeping with the man he murdered. His wife was sleeping with Simon, who he was stealing money from, but also paying the studio back by not reimbursing himself for all that money. And that's everything except for, oh yeah, my wife was sleeping with him. That is motive. And this is not good, Lester. That's not good.
Unless Lester doesn't know. Because we don't see.
Oh my God.
We don't see if Lester doesn't know. So do you want to make a prediction here right now? Like before we get to Prediction Town? Do you think
that's a good call?
Do you think Lester knows?
No, you know what? Lester's not going to know. And then Ted's going to break it to him and Kevin's going to be in the room and it's going to be like, now that was the truth.
And that's why we saw the preview of Lester throwing all that shit everywhere, right?
I didn't even see it. I was typing so furiously. I'm really trying to avoid the previews.
Well, I didn't because they just made it available to the public. It's not a spoiler, really. So there is, so that we're on even playing fields. Not that this is a competition. But there is, Lester is like throwing stuff in their office and like breaking things. And I think Kevin says, I was also typing them, but I think Kevin says, that doesn't look good for somebody who is like on the hook for murder or whatever. So I'm going to also agree with you that I don't think Lester knows because I think Lester did tell everything because I think it would become like a storyline to be for like Lester to keep bringing things in. Then we're getting into like sketch comedy where he's
absolutely right.
I think he's told us everything he knows.
Yeah, I agree. as Elizabeth is walking out, Amanda's coming down the stairs and they see each other and they have this confrontation about Dante Everson, who Elizabeth killed, because I think this was obviously or implied a client of Amanda's who got the death penalty or whatever.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth's like, oh, well, stay away from this case with Lester because it's a real loser. And Amanda says, well, you know what? Seeing you here with that smug look on your face, if Ted ever asks me for help, I will go running. And then the camera shows Ted just standing outside his office with his hands crossed, just staring at them like,
I wonder if he was like, uh-oh, we're in trouble, or that's hot.
I think what if he wasn't even, he didn't even have like an opinion on his face. He was just kind of like, I'm watching two women talk 25 feet away from me.
He has a pretty good poker face. I wonder if we're going to ever see him play poker the way we saw Harvey play poker.
Maybe that's what Harvey comes into town for. Is it a crazy game of poker?
Oh, are we going to make this a prediction?
Sure. I'll put that in there.
Okay, great.
They play poker.
Yeah. I have another prediction too that I got to slide in there somewhere. Okay. Last little storyline here is something that we love to see, which is a flashback. And they're good at flashbacks already.
They are. They're already incorporating them really well.
Because they're giving us so much backstory. And, their flashbacks aren't as green.
They're a little more yellow.
Yellow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Ted is at Samantha's client's big night, which is at they're at some comedy club, and her client is doing impersonations. And Ted does not laugh as the comedian is making fun of him, looking like he got beat up, because he did get beat up. Now, here's the thing. That comedian knew who he was. Like, he knew that was Samantha's boyfriend. But Ted looks like there's still blood on his face. Like, he ran in from that. Like,
he literally came from the hospital.
Yes.
He might still be wearing the suit that was exploded on.
You know what? Clean it up, my dude. Clean it up. Like, it was just so weird that, sorry. I'm bothered by the fact that he didn't, clean it up.
Yeah, put a Band-Aid on.
I don't want to say hide the evidence because he didn't do anything wrong.
No, but those look like fresh wounds.
Like, literally.
Mm-hmm. Then we see Samantha. They're back at the apartment, and she's like, I think they're joking, and she's all giggly, and she's like, I think you didn't like the impersonator because you think that he wants to sleep with me. This is, they're cute, I guess. This is like Mike Ross and Rachel Zane type of flirtation. Like, they have this chemistry, and they start to smooch, and then Ted's like, oh, actually, I have to go. And he picks up the phone, and it's Kevin. Kevin's at the hospital, and he's like, the agents are here, and we have to pull the plug on this whole thing. Like, Billy is dead. We can't pretend that he's alive anymore. And Ted tells him, you know what? Actually, I just need to know who you think would have planted the bomb. And then I need you to go grab all the tapes we have of Billy confessing. And he's going to put together some crazy plan. Really hair-brained scheme.
Oh my God. Okay. This is way more than when they got Trevor to help Mike and Harvey with those brothers. Remember that
when
scene?
He took the baseball bat?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a lot.
That was a lot too. It was like, this is very risque, right? What was the quote? Sometimes you got to do bad things to make the good guys pay.
Oh, probably. That sounds very.
It's a quote from that episode. Yeah. I remember that one. Okay, so they have this. I literally. This was so funny to me. I am obviously in a hotel room because I don't have a bedroom that has double beds like this. And I was racing, and I was a little behind trying to get caught up on this. And I had to go back even again because I'm like, is he in? What's happening? Is he in an in a bulletproof vest? He has faked. And I was like, for a split second, I was like, wait a minute. Maybe that was his career beforehand. Maybe he was a police officer. He went a lot of things, like Eric, I can't read. So this fake FBI raid at Pellegrini's for the murder of Billy Esposito. So again, it's not the FBI. It's Ted and Kevin just wearing some Halloween costumes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The guy that they want for murder says that nothing will stick because Billy is dead. And Ted's like, oh, really? And then Kevin walks around to the other room, turns on the audio, and they have the impersonator, this stand-up comedian, pretend to be Billy on the other side of the mirror. And Ted says that Pellegrini is going to think that he talked, or he can get put into protective custody. And the lawyer that's there to represent him is like, I can help you. And Ted's like, no, he can't. And then he's like, okay, to the lawyer, get out.
Yeah, because who's that lawyer really work for? He works for the mob boss.
Right. Right.
So is Kevin, I think I missed this. I was thinking Kevin was another attorney, but is he a cop? And the only reason I ask that is because they're clearly in like an interrogation room.
Yeah. How do they get in?
But there's no cop there. And so they have it all set up.
Another one. This is one of the things that's very unbelievable in this.
But is Kevin, is he like a detective or is he an attorney?
He has to be a detective or a consultant.
Yeah.
But he has to have access to that.
He has to have access to that kind of room.
Because, yeah.
I guess I just assumed he was an attorney. But
I kind of did too.
But he must
But he might be a detective.
He might be, yeah, some other kind of.
We're going to dig in on this one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then we see Samantha. They're back at the apartment. And Samantha's like, I can't believe you used my client to get a suspect to confess. And he's like, well, I'm not going to apologize. And she's like, oh, well, you think just because you put bad guys away, you can do whatever you want. And he's kind of like, yeah, I do think that. And then he tells her that she's just this glorified salesman because even though she went to law school, all she does is try and get actors good deals. And she's this entertainment lawyer, but really she's just like this salesman. And she is not having that. She goes, I actually love my job and I love what I do because I make people's dreams come true. You're no better than your dad. So they're like really hitting each other where it hurts. They're really poking.
They're poking it.
Mm-hmm.
They're poking it. And
it does not like his dad.
He doesn't. It's also interesting because this is Ted before he became big, fancy, rich attorney.
Entertainment lawyer.
And we had Harvey before he became you remember, right? He was like, I'm just going to put the bad guys away, right? When he was working with Cameron Mike Brody Dennis. So it's like, it's very interesting to see like there's very much a parallel in that, like in the history of those main characters.
Right. They come from trying to do the right thing. And so even when they start working for the rich and powerful and famous, they still have this, like, I do the right thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, he eventually apologizes because he's like, I don't use you. And she goes, well, then you can kiss my perfect ass. And he says, okay, I'm sorry. What would I do without you? And then she says, you'd be lost. Don't you ever forget it. And I only did that because clearly Ted is very lost. Because he doesn't have her.
We also haven't seen Ted in present day go find his Paula.
His psychiatrist
/ psychologist / therapist, you know?
So yeah. He needs to talk to someone.
He's going to be lost for a while.
You know where I never get lost going to places that I've been before, though.
I was just thinking the same thing. Like, it feels really good to go get away, but also somewhere familiar where you just step off and you're like, I know where we are.
Yeah. Like, would you like to go with me to Prediction Town?
Literally, I'm running out of this room right now to go to Prediction Town with you.
Okay, let's hop on the train.
Oh my gosh, we have a lot of predictions.
Okay, so many. And I don't even know if these are like solid predictions because I'm still getting to know these characters and the pacing of this show.
Yeah.
But let's see.
Kick us off.
Okay, I think that by the end of the season, we will see a flashback to Rick and Erica effing. Whether that's food trucking or fucking, I don't know. But we will see some sort of flashback of their relationship like we've been seeing Ted and Samantha's.
Okay. I was going to give a prediction next. However, I'm just now reading what you wrote, and it's the same prediction I just wrote 5 seconds ago.
Oh, really?
I hadn't read yours. So I'm gonna let you read it because yours is written better, but like I think we're thinking the same thing.
Okay. Dylan and Rick, I think
Uh-huh.
they were kind of flirty. This was
Yes.
this romantic comedy Rick called out.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think that Rick would cross that professional line, but maybe he would, because we've now learned that he's fraternized in some way with Erica, who he worked with. So maybe he doesn't mind. Maybe that's kind of his weakness. He's so ethical, but he's
a horn dog.
He will fa a client.
Yeah, he will fa a client. I agree. Also, Dylan came over to see him, remember? So it was like, she's like, oh, that's too much information. Like, she wanted to walk over there and see him in person. I also think they're going to get together, and I think it's going to make Erica really jealous.
Yes. And then we'll see the flashback.
And whether or not it was they were about to pho or they were selling pho, we're going to see that.
We'll see. I agree with that. Another prediction I have, I'm just going to go. I only have
go for it.
One more besides that they're going to play poker. I think Lester is innocent now, so I'm flip-flopping, but I think it's going to take to the very last minute, and it is going to make everyone question every ounce of judgment they've ever had, but they will find the smoking gun. And I think it's going to require some sort of stunt similar to that New York flashback. And I think maybe Amanda, the pro bono lawyer, is going to help solve it and put the pieces together.
Okay.
Because Elizabeth should not have pissed her off. This is her justice for Dante.
Yeah, justice for Dante. Okay, those are great. I'm a little worried about Leah. I feel like, and I'm liking her too. I see how you were making that prediction that she is very similar to like our Lewis Litt, right? So that made a lot of sense to me. I'm worried about her because I don't know that Erica's actually going to like follow through on her deal with her. So I think if Erica does not continue to treat Leah right, I think that Leah will leave and like get a job working for the writer producer that was Dylan's friend. Like she'll get to go do that, right?
Because be a screenwriter like she wants to be.
A screenwriter, or but also like be in-house counsel in that business, like, right? Alternatively, she might get poached by Rick.
Interesting.
That would piss Erica off because I think there's always going to be some feud in here with Rick and Erica. And so if Erica starts to like, whether she's not treating Leah right or they're just getting along better but still not treating her right, if Rick poaches her, then it's going to piss Erica off.
Interesting. I don't know if I agree with that one, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm kind of wondering if Leah and Erica become like a Donna Lewis relationship where like for some reason they really work well together, but then in the end Leah will leave to write a screenplay, or a screenplay she'll be like, Erica, here's the screenplay I wrote, will you read it? And now that Erica knows what makes a good screenplay, she'll read it and she'll be like, this is fantastic. You have to get this made.
And I have to represent you.
And I have to represent you.
Oh, that's actually would be justice for Leah.
Yeah. But I think that's probably like a multi-season arc. So
for sure. I think Stuart's son is going to come back into this because there was a mention of him. The Glazer. I don't know that it's going to be him just like talking about him, but I think I think he'll have some kind of role somehow. I think it's whether we actually see him or it impacts a bigger decision with Stuart, because Stuart just like randomly brought him up, and it feels weird to just kind of randomly bring him up if it's not going to move the story forward in some way. So
what do you think his son is like?
I think he's 26, which is crazy because I just made that up. And I think Stuart had him very young. And I think that they've had an estranged like relationship, and I think he's a gamer, and not like games people, but like loves games, video games. I just think that we may not see him, but there's gonna be more references to him. At least he's gonna have some impact.
We're gonna see him eventually.
Eventually
we'll see him. I think he's got long hair.
You do?
I do, but no beard. Just long hair.
If he had a beard, he'd at least keep it combed.
Yeah, he would for sure keep it combed.
Yeah. I also do think despite what we were talking about, that Harvey Specter is going to make an appearance in 3 episodes.
Yeah. And it's not just going to be a photo.
No.
God willing.
That's all I got this week.
All right. I think those are some good predictions, Amanda.
I think they're great predictions because we have no idea what we're doing.
We have no idea. We're in this with all y'all.
We really are. We'd love to hear what you guys have to think, what you have to say. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? Is Harvey going to be in the actual episode, or is it just going to be pictures of him? Like, we want to know. So make sure you're following us, all that kind of good stuff. And we appreciate you guys watching it the way TV used to be watched. On a night. Live. And then hopping on because you have nothing else better to do than to hop on here and watch this with us and do this live with us. So we appreciate it.
This has been fun.
We'll go ahead and you want to do our sign off?
Yeah, sign on off.
Yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to check us out at onlysuitsfans.com for everything that has to do with OSF. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and of course, YouTube here. And you can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. Really helps people find us.
And if you're wondering for something to start your review, you could say something like, I hope these ladies, much like Suits LA, get renewed for another season.
That's great.
Is that too bold to make?
It's not
so early.
No, it's not.
Is that too bold?
Babe? No, dude.
Let's
go bold or go home. Go bold or go home.
Go bold or go to LA. All right.
It seems like going to LA is pretty bold.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.